Hey, let's talk to some Republicans tonight.
The Dan Yorke State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
I'm not suggesting I was shopping out on the street, just trying to, find them. They exist in multifold here in the state, and actually, the Republican Party has a lot to look forward to in this general election. There are suggestions that this governor race is going to be close by Republicans. I'm not sure that that is the case, but I do believe some down-ticket races are going to be more than interesting, and it would be nice, I think, to have a compelling general election, and it might be nice to break up the state offices, from one party to the next, and that's kind of our focus for this evening. So we are going to introduce you tonight to two candidates at the same time, kind of double your pleasure. They'll each have their own points of view on their own mission for office, but there's probably some common ground stuff as well. So let me show you a couple of headlines. Sabina Matos kind of held out, so to speak, ran a very interesting race for lieutenant governor and won in a three-way primary, and she will face Aaron Guckian, who joins me tonight. And this headline that just references my second guest. I think we've got another before we go to the wide shot. First Republican enters race for Rhode Island General Treasurer. So Jim Lathrop, who is the finance guy for the town of North Kingstown and has vast municipal finance experience, got in a little bit early and has to build some name recognition. So let's cut to my guests, and we shall introduce them semi-formally. Aaron Guckian and Jim Lathrop, guys, thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Overall impressions of what we saw in the primary season. Let's start there. Chat away. We'll get to each of your individual stuff. Let's shoot the breeze about what you saw. Aaron?
Well, it was a tough gubernatorial primary on the Democrat side, and the governor just got by the skin of his teeth, and now we're moving on to the general. In regards to my race, it was shocking that the appointed lieutenant governor wouldn't debate and sort of ducked everything.
Debated once, debated on Channel 12,
yeah,
but didn't debate on Channel 10.
Yeah, and then the radio as well.
And the radio. Two out of three ain't bad, is Meatloaf.
Yeah.
Or sometimes it is bad, right?
And it was the first one, and then all of a sudden they shut it down. So I found that to be quite compelling on, basically let's try to hide, I guess. And to me, that's unconscionable.
Jim, your take?
Oh, I look more at the treasurer's race. Mr. Pryor, very qualified, but you saw the race really came down to name recognition compared to experience. My opponent, Mr. Dioza, he's a good politician. He's a likable guy. I've met him. I like him. But I know he doesn't have the skills for this job, and I think that's going to be my challenge, and I think that's what you saw in the primary, that the Democrats came out to support their guy.
Yeah. All right. Let's do a little bit of a bio. I mean, we could have done these discussions individually, but it's kind of fun to kind of mix it up and have a team talk here. But one at a time. Aaron, you just left your gig with the Rhode Island Foundation because of the political nature of your effort here. How long have you been with the Rhode Island Foundation?
I was with the Rhode Island Foundation a little over 5 years.
Fundraising?
Yeah, fundraising and development with Neil Steinberg, the CEO. It's one of the oldest and largest community foundations in the country, and with over $1 billion in assets. So.
Yeah, people should recognize the Rhode Island Foundation as, I think, the largest philanthropic organization in the state, correct?
Yes, correct, yep.
And Jim, you have a pretty detailed municipal finance resume.
Yeah, so I've been in municipal government about 15 years. I was on the private side prior to that. Self-employed as far as a CPA, a couple offices, and other businesses, self-storage. My family we're a trash business, so I know what it is to work. And I got into government, and we've done pretty well. I've always had great people around me. A couple years ago, Providence Business News CFO of the Year, the RIPAC Goodrich Award for Public Service. We've done great things. Portsmouth, we became AAA rated when I was there, only the second community. North Kingstown, we've doubled the fund balance in 5 years. We've taken our OPEB, which is a post-employment benefits for retiree health care, liability from $32 million down to $17 million. I'm a numbers guy. This is all new to me.
The politics is new to you.
The politics is new. The number parts, issuing debt. I mean, I had some discussions this morning with debt, and North Kingstown's very good to me. Even though it's Democratic control, I talked to them, same with Aaron before I decided to run, and they said, you've got a lot of vacation time, use it up, and if you win, we'll miss you, and if you lose, we can't wait to have you back.
Come on back. All right, so you got a safe landing spot there. Yeah. I want to dig into each of your categories, and by the way, if either one of you have a thought on the other's stuff, feel free. The OPEB mentioned in dropping the liability for the town of Portsmouth that you just discussed, is this formerly semi-conscious issue that has kind of gone completely away.
Yeah.
There's no conversation about it anywhere. There's a lot of focus on pension liability and the payout and the checks to retirees pending and in the future. But the health care benefits, which is the other post-employment benefit, when you see the acronym OPEB, that's what that means is a devastating liability across this state.
It is, and I think if you look at the states, how it does it, Mr. Magazina talks about why he doesn't
the current treasurer running for Congress,
why he doesn't like just stocks and bonds on a 60-40 mix that is traditional, yet that's what the OPEB is. So he's managing the OPEB fund in a method that is what he said is bad. He also uses different assumption rates for OPEB compared to the pensions. Again, it got lost, and Mr. Magazine has been very generous to me, for meeting his staff, coming in, been a pure gentleman. So on a personal level, I can't say anything bad about it.
In terms of your role as the North Kingstown Finance Director or the race?
Actually, in both. So when I told him I was running, and even before I announced, he said, "Come on in, and I'll talk to you about the office." Him and his chief of staff. And I've met with all his directors and department heads after that.
Well, that's sportsmanlike.
Oh, I say I can't say anything bad about him personally. Can I say bad things about some of his decisions? Yeah, I would.
Did you tell him that you thought there were some decisions that are poor?
Yep.
Had a friendly debate over that?
Hey, yeah. I mean, we have to have discussions. Republicans and Democrats, the state needs to move towards the center if we're really going to move forward. And the polarization that we see is not good for anybody.
So on Aaron's, as we flip back and forth here, I'm guessing you haven't had that kind of opportunity to sit in the office that you seek. And
no, I mean, I was a special assistant to the governor.
Let's not kid ourselves. Seth Magaziner is leaving that treasurer's office. Sabina Matos wants to retain that lieutenant governor's office.
Right, so it's a little different.
It's a different dynamic. But you mentioned the governor's. I failed to say at the beginning. Aaron is well known in the media community as one of the more recognizable and friendly top aides to Don Carcieri during his governorship. Tell us a little bit about how that experience informed you on your intent to run.
Well, I was the eyewitness to power. And 6 weeks into it with the governor and the first lady, we had the station nightclub fire. And it was devastating. My mom's a respiratory therapist. She was on the front lines that night, Kent. And I remember when I got a call at 25 years old, I said, I wonder how this is going to affect me. And boy, did it affect me and all of Rhode Islanders. But, I guess my point is, when you go through these types of things, these terrible tragedies, I was the chairman of the Warwick Sewer Authority when there was a flood, different things. Experience matters, right? And you can't rush it, you can't teach it. And, Jim has got incredible experience and background. I have an MBA. I also have a master's in music. And, I was a vice president of a bank. And as you get these types of experiences and you grow as an individual, you hopefully can take that to the office and really help the people, and that's why I got the Help Center. And my whole platform is to have a help center to help people navigate through the state system. And if you can change small things, especially in life, hopefully you can get to big things, rather than taking on especially as lieutenant governor.
Okay,
I
I want to stretch out on that point when we come back. We'll hear Aaron's idea on, look, lieutenant governor's office is pretty ill-defined by statute and is somewhat entrepreneurial. The treasurer, less so, but we'll dig into those roles when we come back. Stay with us. There's the Lieutenant Governor Sabina Matos, who of course was appointed to that position in a unique process that Governor Dan McKee embarked upon when he was appointed to the governorship. After Gina Raimondo left, there was kind of the the domino effect and the bouncing ball. So, and there's James Diosa, who is the well, actually is a former Central Falls mayor and won the Democratic primary. Each of those folks are the opponents of my two guests here this evening. Aaron Guckian, a candidate for Lieutenant Governor, and Jim Lathrop, candidate for Rhode Island State Treasurer. This unique idea you have, Aaron, to build kind of a help center in the Lieutenant Governor's office. Explain.
Yeah, basically what I found is that a lot of people call me all the time and say, Aaron, can you help navigate this? I've got a licensing problem. Do you know somebody?
Why do they call you?
Why do they call me?
Because you've been around?
Yeah, I've been around, and I know a lot of different people. So, something that might take them 6 to 8 weeks, I make a phone call, and a lot of times it's taken care of. And it's nothing nefarious. It just means that there's a person maybe in the Department of Health that I already know, and I have them call. They might not interface with the public all the time.
Sure.
If you can connect them, then they can expedite.
There's a fine line between networking and the NOAA guy syndrome, which I think is completely overblown in this state. It's kind of our reputational moniker, but I think it's a little bit more fantasy than reality. But what you're doing, I think, is trying to build a formal NOAA guy, and to benefit people to be able to connect to the stuff that they need to know.
Yeah, I think the streamline to eliminate the red tape. Diners, there's people that own these diners. There's multiple licenses. They get everything in a paper, billing, and it's just such. What's the worst thing you can do from a person if you're going to take away their fees and take their taxes, like take their money? You take their time, and we're doing both in the state. We're taking their money. We're taking their time. So why can't we streamline one single sign-on, one username and password over all departments and simplify?
Is it something that's going to require General Assembly action to authorize Lieutenant Governor's office to do?
So I think what a lot of this is, you're going to get all the frequently asked questions and you're going to manage up the data. There's a lot of great legislators up there. If you call the speaker and you say, this is what I'm seeing, all of these diner owners having this issue, can we try to figure something out? I think they would welcome it. But if I start saying, oh, let's go after affordable housing and hundreds of millions of dollars, they're going to say go pound sand, right? It doesn't make any sense. So I want to make small changes to get to big change, and believe me, we have so many local issues.
So the changes that you want to make, you can do on a, again, entrepreneurial basis, and then nibble at suggestions that may result in statutes based on the context of the condition.
Yeah, like small business, long-term health care, emergency management.
So access to Lieutenant Governor's office, non-existent, and people don't even understand the concept. Access to the Treasurer's office, same kind of thing. Do people need access to the Treasurer's office?
They do, and I think the Treasurer's office needs to be more proactive. They have plans like unclaimed property, the victim's restitution. One of the things that I like is Rhode Island Able, which is run by the Treasurer's office. It allows individuals who have disabilities, their family, to put money aside for them in the future, and it doesn't affect their Social Security benefits. We have this, and it doesn't get used. There's one person who runs the whole program. There's a lot of people out there with needs. I am a big advocate for mental health issues, and that's a personal issue for me. I've sat on some boards. Mental health and finances a lot of times go together. People have a lot of stress about it, and how can we be proactive in engaging them in financial literacy? And it's not just the kids in the schools, it's adults. I was a CPA in practice for 20 years, and how many times someone would come in and just didn't know how to manage their funds or their assets or borrow money or pay for tuition, and unknowing like Aaron says, is scary. And once you actually know the facts and know the process, it makes it a little easier. And I think that's what the Treasurer's Office can do, is be proactive on, state retirees as well as anybody else. I met with AARP, and they are pushing a program called Work and Save, which is like a 401k, but it takes out a lot of the paperwork on the employer, and they want the Treasurer's Office to run this program for them. And I think those are great ideas, and that's where the Treasurer's Office can be more interactive with people.
All right, so both these guys have terrific experience to bring to the table. What's their political experience? We'll talk about that when we come back. Stay with us. So the Republican Party, well, there we go. Where am I? Wait, this camera? Okay, the Republican Party has been an up and down entity for me, at least in terms of my analysis and the cycle. I'm more concerned about the people and the good people who run inside a party, Republican or Democrat, than I am about the party itself. I think the party organization is an embarrassment. I think they have been actually a walking, talking disgrace over the last few years with amateur hour. I think the party chairperson, Susie Yankee, is she's a good egg, be fine as a neighbor, but she's acted ridiculously and irresponsibly. And so I wonder, that's my take. You have all the room in the world to tell me that I'm missing it. But you guys are substantial, well-resumed newcomers who are flying under the flag. Tell me what the party means to you. Jump in, talk to each other, talk to me.
Well, I make it as a joke, but my favorite Republican is Alex P. Keaton from Family Ties. I mean, I grew up watching that show, and that's how I got introduced to politics. He was a nice guy, but he was a Republican, a Reagan Republican. I'm fiscally conservative, and that's what I like. I mean, I went to NYU.
You can have a philosophy.
Yep.
Right. And with only a two-party system, it really is, any organization, you've both worked for organizations, and you can reflect on management skill. An organization rises and falls on the individual that's running it. Yep. So I'm not asking you to dump on the chairperson. What I'm asking for is how you reconcile or how you make work the idea that you think you could do great work for the state, and the Republican Party falls where in that branding for you? How does that?
Well, I think that there's,
other than giving you a road to the general election.
Yeah, I think that one, we have two parties, and then I think that we have this kind of radical left progressive. And one of the biggest reasons I jumped in was because of the defund police movement, which the appointed lieutenant governor jumped in on early on, and I just couldn't stand it. So that's one of the things I jumped in. Second was experience. And I don't think people should just be given jobs. I think they should earn them, and I think that they should have the background. I mean, the biggest question for lieutenant governor is if there's an emergency.
Well, look, the state constitution calls for Sabina Matos to be appointed, for somebody to be appointed.
No, what I'm saying is the biggest thing is if there's an emergency or a person's elevated, like Governor Raimondo, who can take over the state to a $13.6 billion budget? And I would argue that I am the best candidate due to what I just outlined.
Right, and I think the same with the treasurer. The treasurer is an elected position, but it shouldn't be political. It's a very technical and skill, and that's one of the main reasons I'm running.
Somewhat like the Attorney General.
Exactly, that it shouldn't be just politicians who are building their resume. It needs someone who is committed to the job.
Are you suggesting that James Diosa is doing that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think Seth Magaziner did that.
And you're suggesting that Sabina Matos couldn't handle the governorship if it was like Dan McKee earned it.
Yeah, I don't think she has the background.
Let's talk about Ashley Kalis. Fan?
She's a nice person.
Well, I support Ashley Kalis in regards to for governor. She's we have Alan Fung, we have Ashley Kalis, we have Aaron Guckian, and I say AAA helps on the way. And in regards to Susie Yankee, she's working her tail off to get people to run. And one of the reasons I'm here on this stage is because she encouraged me.
Yes.
Now, and so I think she also did that.
Again, I have different beliefs at times, but you know, I believe in my friends, and she really has stepped up and supported me and encouraged me. And, you know, I'm a newcomer and then given me some guidance, and I will always be appreciative of that, of her. And
well, listen, there's going to be more Republican inertia in this race.
Yep.
There's no doubt about that. When we come back, we'll ask more questions about how that's going to impact their missions. So stay with us. All right, well, we're shooting the breeze here during the break on the condition of the party. So, look, very viable resumes, really strong minds, and I can see both of you guys in the roles that you seek. The old Vermont, how do you get there from here, right? I mean, you know, are you raising a bunch of dough, Aaron, for lieutenant governor?
Yeah. I mean, I'm participating in matching funds. I'm going to get $125,000. I put $10,000 of my own money in, so I got skin in the game.
Jim, for treasurer?
You know, I'm basically self-funding. I've been very fortunate in life. I've raised some money, and I appreciate it.
Well, I don't want to pry into your personal finances, but when it comes to the campaign, what are you investing?
As far as money-wise?
Yeah, I mean,
I've got about $35,000 in my own cash.
See, this is the thing. I hate this. I hate that good people can get lost in the financial sauce of this whole thing. You know, well, you know, social media brings a little bit of an an edge. It's a sewer at times, but it's a place where, you know, maybe you get there from here. I'd be happy to have more conversations with you about your candidacies on the radio as well. Make a pitch. Each of you've got about 30 seconds here. Jim, why should you be the state treasurer in November? Or elected in November?
We're coming across a very tough time economically. And you need someone who's experienced, who's gone through tough times, through '08 and even the '70s with the fuel stuff. This is not a job that needs on-the-job training. You need someone who can start day one and knows the players and knows what to do. There's just too much at risk. We're talking billions of dollars.
Aaron, quick.
I really want to debate. I think it's very, very important, and I'm very scared about her position in regards to defunding the police. I want to refund the police. You see what's going on in Providence? It's pretty scary, and that's why people aren't going downtown. I have the qualifications, I have the help center, and I can't wait for November 8th.
You have the help center idea, but awesome. Guys, good luck. It's going to be an interesting general election.
It's going to be great. Thank you.
All right, we got to split. See ya.